Well, hello there, guys. How are you doing? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review, and we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that, of course, we all just finished watching. And it goes without saying that everyone has different takeaways and feelings and opinions about every Nintendo Direct. So I think most of us who talk about these things need to be very careful with how we talk about our feelings so as not to say that the way you feel is the way everyone should feel. But I will tell you guys that the way I feel is not that great. Look, man, it's not that there are no games from this Direct that I plan on playing. There are actually quite a few games that I plan on playing. Some of them were already previously announced, let's be honest about that. But yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible for a Nintendo Direct to happen and have zero games that interest you. There's always going to be something that you're going to say to yourself, yes, I will buy that and I will play that. And I do have a couple of titles that I'll discuss today that I thought are at least worth my time from this Direct. And yes, it did have one major big announcement that doesn't appeal to everybody, but it does appeal to a lot of people, which I will also talk about at the end here. But I'm just being real, you know, and I try to be a pretty optimistic guy with these things. I don't demand a lot from my gaming hobby because it's just a hobby that I get to enjoy. But when comparing this Directs to prior Directs that have been a little bit more exciting for my personal tastes, this one just did not hit the mark, and I kind of found it to be a little bit of a snooze fest. So, being the last Nintendo Direct of the year, and a Direct that we all suspect is near the end of the Switch's life, at least as their main sole console on the market, obviously there will be overlap and support beyond the release of the next console, but we do kind of all expect that we're coming to the end of the Switch's life, right, as their front-facing piece of hardware. And I think because of those reasons, a lot of us, myself included, were pretty hyped and pretty hopeful for this Nintendo Direct, thinking that they were going to really surprise us with a lot of big things and even just 2 or 3 major announcements and big megaton drops, right? And that wasn't the case. So I will reiterate before we get any farther into this that everyone can feel how they want to feel. If you're somebody who loved this Direct because there were like 9 or 10 games that got you excited, that's great. I'm not saying how I feel as somebody who didn't love it is how you should feel. So please understand how that works, okay? I'm not telling you to agree with me. But yeah, I really didn't find a whole lot going on to get me excited with this, you know? And in fact, pretty much everything I think I plan on playing from this Direct is some kind of an old game with the exception of one. Everything else is some kind of remaster, re-release, re-envision, remake of a prior game, I think. I'll double check as I go through some things in this video, but that kind of goes to show you where Nintendo is at here at the end of 2023, and at the end, quote-unquote, whatever that means, of the Nintendo Switch's life. I think that they're relying a lot on older content. I think the first couple of things that I want to talk about are not things that I'm personally excited for, but it's pretty crazy how this played out, and it turns out that Pyoro's leaks and everything that we started to hear about what could be showed at this Nintendo Direct was basically completely freaking true. Mario vs. Donkey Kong is one of the new games announced, and that was something that everyone thought Pyoro was hinting at a new Donkey Kong game. Then word was going around that it's actually more of Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and it turns out that, yeah, that's what it is, a new Mario vs. Donkey Kong game. So I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really care about this. What I will say, to be a little bit positive about it though, is when I saw some of the gameplay, it looked a little bit more fun than I was anticipating, because it's got that kind of callback to old school, classic 80s Donkey Kong gameplay, right? And so it's not that it looks horrible, it's just not a game that does anything for me, and I personally can't envision a world where I decide to pick up and play this game, unless it releases at like a budget price. If it releases at like $39.99, maybe I'll consider it if it turns out to be really good. If it's $30, I would probably buy it just to buy it. So we'll have to see on that. The other one, and this one is soul-crushing, guys, F-Zero 99. There was a lot of talk and hints at F-Zero, and then we started to hear maybe they would do some weird F-Zero 99 thing. And that's exactly what they did. It's an online racing battle royale thing using the 16-bit art style of F-Zero. I'll admit that I do love and appreciate that it's using the classic Super Nintendo art style and the Mode 7 graphics and that music, because as I talked about on my last video, I was blown away by the original game back when it first released, and it's one of my favorite games, and so from that perspective, it looks cool, but then I realize it's just a free-to-download online battle royale kind of thing, which is not how I want to play or experience my F-Zero, especially after waiting years for some kind of new or more exciting F-Zero release. I feel like the franchise deserved more than this. If this was like a mode, an additional mode tacked onto a different F-Zero game, it could be super cool as a fun little distraction. But instead, it's just what it is. It's a downloadable F-Zero 99 only thing, and this is not what I personally wanted, and I don't think it's what most other F-Zero fans were waiting for either. So Pyoro really nailed it with this, man. He was talking about Mario vs. Donkey Kong, he was talking about F-Zero 99 and an F-Zero game of some kind. And it was correct, you know. It just kind of is what it is. So disappointing for me. I would have preferred, obviously, a better, newer Donkey Kong game or a better real F-Zero game than what these are. But it is what it is. So am I going to play these games? No, probably not. I don't even think I'm going to... F-Zero wouldn't even cost me anything, but I just don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's not how I want to experience my F-Zero time, is online and then racing until I die and getting eliminated and then just waiting there or trying to find another match or however those things work. Just not for me. So I find these to be interesting from the perspective of Pyoro's leaks being true, but not games that move the needle for me. Now, we do have to talk about Princess Peach Showtime, which is one of the few larger scale and bigger deal announcements. We now officially have a title for the Peach game. And we also know what the conceit of the gameplay and the concept is. Now, I went through a bit of a roller coaster watching this trailer because as it started, and it started to evolve, and she's using her ribbon to do things, and we realized that it takes place on all of these different stages with different concepts behind each stage. I was like, this actually looks really cool and really fun. I'm really excited for it. Then we saw the first glimpse of how she changes costumes into like a sword fighter or whatever. And was like using a sword to battle. And I was like, whoa, okay, they are doing like a Kirby thing where she's going to change her ability to fight based on her costumes and based on the stage that she's actually playing on. And that was also really exciting. Then I feel like a lot of you guys won't agree with me on this, but then I started to realize just how vastly different the genre of gameplay was going to be from costume to costume. And I got a little less excited about it, I won't lie. I don't want the game and the gameplay to be so weird and inconsistent and different from level to level and costume to costume that it's just all over the place. But I kind of worried that that's what it might be. What I will say is, as of right now, I'm still curious and open enough to try it. I as of right now, plan on buying it and playing it, especially if I hear that it's a really good game. But I will admit, I got a little less excited as I saw how different the gameplay was going to be from costume to costume. In theory, that could be great and add a lot of variety, the way it did to Kirby in the Forgotten World. To me, every single different outfit and weapon he's using in that game added variety to the gameplay, but it was still consistent in that he's just running around beating up bad guys and doing those kinds of things. This, I might be wrong, so again, I'm going to wait to learn more about it, but it almost looked like the genre of gameplay is going to change so much with each costume that it might become too weird and awkward for me to really, really enjoy. So, the jury's out. I'm excited enough to pick it up, but I'm a little bit more cautious after seeing the trailer. Now, the game that might actually be the most exciting to me, and I don't care if you laugh at this or not, but as an old school guy, I am so jazzed at Contra Operation Galaga. This is like a full-on remake of the original NES Contra, which was integral to my childhood, you guys. As anyone my age or anyone who was playing games on the NES back in the day would feel the same, because Contra was like a revolution. Like, everyone played it, everyone talked about it at school. This game was such a huge deal. And seeing this game get a remake is very exciting. Obviously, a new Contra would be even better, but what they seem to be doing with this is fantastic. So this was a game that actually got me really excited. It is an old game, but it's remade to such a degree, and I love it so much that I am over the moon at this game existing. Now, the other announcement that got me really excited, yes, more old games, but I have to be honest with you, the Tomb Raider Remastered collection of Tomb Raiders 1, 2, and 3, not just getting ported, but like remastered with a whole new visual style, that is so cool to me, okay? And I know I've talked before about, collections of old games isn't necessarily something that should really move the needle much, and I agree with that. I'm not here to tell you that this is moving the needle for me, and I don't think it's a major feather in the Switch's cap that it's coming, but it is a product coming that I'm excited for and that I plan to play. I don't think it really helped the Nintendo Direct, okay? That's the point I'm trying to make. This wasn't a major Megaton announcement. This could have been something that was tweeted out or just a trailer was put online, and I would have been just as excited for it. I love these old school Tomb Raider games. I love the old school Lara. The personality and style and flair of the original Lara is much more interesting to me than the newer, somber, more serious Lara. Even though I like those new games quite a bit, I don't really love Lara Croft in them. I like these old school games, and the remaster thing looks so very neat. Now, with Contra and Tomb Raider, there's a great chance that these are not exclusive to Switch, and if that's the case, I'll be honest, I probably will play them on my PS5. But as far as just games that I saw today, those are two games, old games, that I'm very excited for. And so, jumping through all of those titles, that brings us to the last thing, the big surprise, the big reveal at the end. And this is a tricky one because, look, I can't deny that this isn't something that's a big deal for a lot of people and that a lot of people have been asking for years. So this qualifies as a Megaton announcement, absolutely. And of course, we're talking about the Paper Mario Thousand Year Door remake that they announced at the end of the Direct. So the GameCube Paper Mario game, which I will admit I've never played, but is very popular and very beloved, is getting a remake and coming back to the Switch next year in 2024. Now, this is not a game that I am really super over the moon excited for because I've only dabbled in Paper Mario over the years, and I enjoy it for what it is as a quirky, cute, little fun RPG-esque kind of Mario experience, but I don't love the Paper Mario games or the Paper Mario universe. I liked Super Paper Mario on the Wii, Paper Mario Origami King. I played like 20 hours of, I own that game, and I thought it was okay. But I don't really care about it much either. And so, in general, Paper Mario is not a Mario experience that gets me super excited. But this is a big deal announcement, and so for the people who are very excited for it, I am thrilled for you. And I think it's probably going to be great. I know it's something people have wanted for a long time. I think they're going to do a great job with this. And so I'm thrilled for the people who get to play and experience this game. And you know what? Let me say this. I am also going to play and experience it, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm not going to play it. This is one of those games that while it didn't blow my mind, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to buy that, I'm going to play it, and I'll probably enjoy it. I'm just not, over the moon at this announcement, if that makes sense. And so really, just to me, and I'm only talking about my personal tastes, remember, everyone's personal tastes are different, but for my personal tastes, those are the main points, the main bullet points that I took away to hit on this. And so, something I want to point out, and I actually tweeted about this, Nintendo seems to be relying a lot on Mario Universe titles here at what I think is probably the end of the Switch's life, again, as their sole hardware on the market. There's like 8 or 9 Mario Universe games coming, and we're talking about Luigi's Mansion, we're talking about Mario Kart DLC, we're talking about Mario vs. Donkey Kong, and it's so much Mario Wonder, Mario RPG, and it's worth noting, one of them is just an HD port, which is Luigi's Mansion, and 2 of them are remakes of old games, being Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door and Mario RPG. So, of their biggest games, most of them are Mario, and 3 of them are old games in some fashion. It doesn't mean that they're not exciting or bad. Again, I'm going to play all of these Mario games except for Mario vs. Donkey Kong. But it's like, man, there's a whole lot of Mario going on at the end of the Switch's life. The rest of the Direct was really just a lot of little small one-off indie games and indie titles and some JRPGs and stuff that I'm sure a lot of people find some reasons to get excited for, which is great. But I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, I think a little more than halfway through this Direct, I remembered thinking to myself, this could have been an indie Direct. I was like, is this an indie Direct or a Nintendo Direct? Because that's all it felt like we were getting. They opened with the Splatoon DLC thing, and for an opening to a Nintendo Direct, that was kind of the first sign that things might be going a little bit weird in this Direct, and that turned out to be true. I mean, I don't really care about Splatoon 3. I loved Splatoon 1 and 2. I kind of fell off with 3. And the DLC thing, it's like, whatever. So opening with that is a rare thing for Nintendo to do. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that because they've opened with Pokemon DLC before. So I'll retract that statement. But in general, it still felt a little strange. And so I was still excited for the Direct at that moment, but I had a little bit of a twinge of like, ooh, that's a weird choice. Is that setting this Direct up for maybe not exciting announcements? And again, for me, that's where I saw it went. And like I said, so many indie games and collections and things. Halfway through, I was like, this is more like an indie Direct than a regular Direct. Just my opinion, but that's how I was feeling. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. There was no Metroid of any kind. That shocked me. I really wanted to think Prime 4 could have been teased, but I knew there was a great chance it wouldn't be. Obviously, we all wanted to think Metroid Prime 2 Remaster or something was going to show up. But I'll be honest, I felt Metroid would have some kind of presence. Some kind of presence. And it was zero. There was no Metroid, no Samus, no nothing. So I think that tells us that, yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is definitely next year. Metroid Prime 2 Remastered, is that even going to be a real game? Are we getting Metroid Prime 2 or 3? Who even knows? So that is definitely a disappointing takeaway. So I think my larger takeaway from this entire Nintendo Direct is, I mean, am I beating a dead horse that you guys have been hearing me talk about for years now? Switch 2 is coming. In 2023, everyone started to rally around the idea. We know the Switch 2 is coming. I think this was a way for them to get a bunch of Mario games and a bunch of indie games and a bunch of last-minute announcements just pushed out the door before the end of the year, because next year I think is going to be the year of the Switch 2, and I think it's going to be the year of Metroid Prime 4. I believe that to my very core, that's all happening. Now, the only other thing I want to leave you guys with near the end here is that I actually still think Nintendo will address us with something major one more time before the year is over. Yes, this is the last Direct for the year, but there's still 3.5 months to go. And we can't even forget, I'm not trying to say they're going to necessarily reveal the Switch 2 in October, but let's not forget, in 2016, not only did we get a Nintendo Direct at the end of the year, but in October, they gave us a 3-minute trailer announcing the Nintendo Switch. And so I don't know if they're going to go with something that big and bold before the year is over, but with 3 months to go, whether it's a reveal specific to Metroid Prime 4, whether it's a Switch 2 or something else kind of significant or even huge, there is a window of time and an opportunity for Nintendo to address us with some other exciting announcement independent from a Nintendo Direct before 2023 is over. Do I know that's going to happen? No. Do I think it's possible? Yes, I do. So time will tell. This is how I felt about this Nintendo Direct. I didn't personally love it a whole lot. Tell me what you guys thought, and that's about it.